Book of Joshua tonight. Joshua. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Now we've seen the victory in chapter 6. Finally got them walls down. Finally got the city conquered. Everybody destroyed. All the things were right as far as Joshua knew, right? But it starts out with, but. Now when you see a verse start with that, what's that tell you? Uh-oh. So it started out good, and the fame of the Lord there in verse 27 of chapter 6 says, so the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. Man, everything's hunky-dory. Isn't that how we used to say it? Hunky-dory? Everything's good. Then comes the but. But the children of Israel committed a trespass in the accursed thing, for Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing, and notice the result. First, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against who? Not just Achan, right? Because the Lord knew what they were going to do to Achan. But he was teaching Israel a valuable lesson. We'll see some failures of the leadership here in doing what they should have done, rather than getting puffed up a little bit with pride, saying, oh no, don't send the whole crew over to take that little bitty city, just send about 3,000. It's a funny thing how 3,000 ended up being cowards, huh? And that was because the sin was in the camp. Look at verse 2. It says, and Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai. The way it's pronounced in the dictionary, it's Ai. I thought it was Ai, but it's Ai. So it says he sent them there, and he says, from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Bethaven, on the east side of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, go up and view the country. And the men went up and viewed Ai. Well, now, here we go. They did something. They did their jobs. They did what they were supposed to do, and they came back. So we see here, it's evident that right now Joshua doesn't know that he's lost the backing of the Lord, and that he's under the anger or the wrath of the Lord for the sin that has affected Israel. So it's obvious, apparent, that Joshua was ignorant of Achan's sin. Had he known, Joshua probably would have dealt with it right then. But instead, he gets excited and begins to think about the next one, which is what leaders do, right? I mean, you get one thing done, you know you got more to do, you start thinking about the other thing. But something happened with this where he didn't do what he was supposed to do. And he sent men over to this city to spy it out. Now, there was nothing wrong with that if that's what God had told him to do. Now, do you see anywhere in here where God told them to do it? You see anywhere where Joshua seeks the Lord before he does it? No. When you see them attacking Jericho, God met with Joshua there on the mountain. While Joshua was looking out the city, he had a conversation with God, and God told him exactly what to do. So he sent the spies, and they carried out their job, but they came back in a prideful condition. Now remember, they just come off a big victory, right? So what tends to happen when you get a victory under your belt? Get a little puffed up? Right. You think that you can't be beat. Your pride starts interfering with your mind. So pride would come on to them and say, hey, they come back and report, and he says, and they returned to Joshua and said unto him, let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but few. So instead of saying we can take them, he said, let's only send about 3,000 of the troop. Now they won't have any problem with these men. Well, they were being proudful and suggesting and telling basically Joshua what to do. Don't send the whole company, just send a few. But now remember, who was present in the Jericho fall? Was it just one or two or 3,000? It was everybody. All hands were on deck, and they were all witnesses as to the glory of God, the power of God, and the victory that God gave them. So why do you think Joshua thought that it should be different? Why do you think these men are puffed up a little bit and say, hey, give everybody else a break, let them stay home and cook an extra burger or something on the grill? Let's let them rest. Well, see, they presumed to tell Joshua what to do, and the sad part was Joshua not knowing that God had been angered and the fire of God was kindled, the anger of God was kindled. Now they go and say, hey, let's do it like this. So they thought that they could handle it, but sadly that's how it is today. A lot of God's people are like that in today's Christianity. They think, well, we had a little success, no beating us now, we can't be stopped. And that, what's the Bible teach us about pride going before what? All right, destruction or a fall, either one. So here is a lesson of warning for us for this incident, and for us to strive against pride and presumptuousness, especially when God has given us some success. We have to watch out for that pride and presumptuousness. Presumptuousness means that they were presuming to know the will of God and what to do in this situation. So the spies were presuming, and then Joshua was presuming. Joshua not knowing that the Spirit of God had left him. So the Spirit, the upholding Spirit, was now withdrawn from Joshua for a season, and thus he acted as a natural man would. A natural leader would say, hey, go spy it out, then we'll see, and then, okay, yeah, we'll only send 3. Well, I want you to turn to Numbers. Hold your finger here and go to Numbers 28. This is what Joshua should have done. Numbers 28, verse 18. 28, verse 18. And we'll go down through verse 21. In the first day shall be an holy convocation, ye shall do no manner of servile work therein. Ye shall offer a sacrifice made by fire for a burnt offering unto the Lord, 2 young bullocks. Where am I at? Yeah, 28:18. 18:19 is where I'm at. 1 ram and 7 lambs of the first year, they shall be unto you without blemish. And their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deals. Now this is, I've got the wrong chapter evidently. Hang on a minute. Oh, here it is in 27. I wrote down the wrong chapter. Look at 27. I apologize. 27:18. And the Lord said unto Moses, all right, take thee who? The son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay thine hand upon him. All right, what's he doing? What's that mean when you're laying your hand on him? Right, he's anointing him and preparing him for his new job, right? And set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation, and give him a charge in their sight. And thou shalt put some of thine honor upon him, that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient. And he shall stand before Eleazar, here's the verse, the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of Urim, before who? All right. At his word shall they go out, and at his word they shall come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him, even all the congregation. All right? So what was Joshua supposed to do? Right. He's supposed to go and with the high priest before him, and they're supposed to inquire of the Lord, and then the Lord would tell them what to do, right? That's what he did with Jericho in obedience. He did what God told him to do. So why is this city any different? Well, that's what we're talking about. When pride and presumption comes in, you think, well, there's just a few. And then what happened? Well, back in our text, 3,000 men turned coward, and it cost 36 men their lives. Because not just the sin of Achan, but Joshua sinned, the spies sinned, and all of Israel sinned in allowing just 3,000 to go. The rest of the people of Israel said, whoa, 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 wait a minute, time out. What did God tell us to do? That's what some wise man should have stood up and said, hey, wait a minute. You remember, Joshua, what the Lord told you to do when you go to inquire of the Lord, find out what his direction is, how he wants us to do it, and then we'll do it. But this is wrong. And somebody should have spoke up, huh? It might have saved 36 men their lives. But it didn't happen. So only 3,000 went up, and it says they fled before the men of Ai. And the men of Ai smote them about 36 men, for they chased them from before the gate even unto Shebarim, and smote them in the going down, wherefore the hearts of the people melted and became as water. Now look at the effect of this sin. 36 men have died. 3,000 men turned coward. Joshua had sinned against God in not doing his responsible religious duty. And so had these spies in their presumption about going and saying, oh, let's just tell Joshua what to do. So it was a chain effect. Achan's sin brought on all this other downfall. So we want you to see that indeed when sin is present, it causes others to fall into it as well. Not every time, but remember, Joshua's the leader. Okay? And when God moved back his guiding spirit from him because of this sin, Joshua should have realized that. So, whoa, what's going on here? I don't feel like I should about this. I'm just a natural man now, just acting out on instinct, and that's not the way it's supposed to be, is it? Here it was. He told him to come before Eleazar and let God show them through the Urim and the Thummim what was to happen. Well, we'll see some strikes here, don't we? We'll see the evil of Achan's trespass was at work. Remember what Jesus said about leaven? A little bit of leaven does what? Leaveneth the whole lump. Okay? A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. What's that mean? If you're not supposed to have leaven in your bread and you put leaven in the bread, what's it going to do? You're going to have cake. Right? So the idea here is that when you don't do what the Lord has told you to do, something's going to happen, isn't it? Something's going to happen, it's going to happen, and they're going to fail. They failed to ask counsel of God, and now he's beginning to realize after this event, and they fled before the enemy, he's beginning to reap the results of this sin. Achan caused this snowball to start, and they kept it rolling. Now 36 men are dead, 3,000 men turned coward. Now look at the effect that it has on the rest of the people. What does it say? The hearts of the people what? Melted and became as water. Which means they lost their boldness, their courage. They lost their, I guess you might say they even lost their pride. They got their bubble busted, didn't they? God had to humble them and get pride out of the camp. So it says, about 36 men, for they chased them from before the gate even unto Shebarim. And then verse 6, now look what Joshua does. Verse 6. And Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of the Lord until the eventide, he and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. Now when you rend your clothes and put dust on your head, what's that a symbol of? Mourning. Right? And what are they mourning now? Exactly. They're mourning the fact that they had messed up, that they had done things out of order, out of sequence, out of the way that God would have them to do it. And that now they're going to have to go before God and confess and figure out what's going on. Like he says, O Lord, shall I say, when Israel turneth their backs before the enemies, for the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall environ around us, and cut off our home from the earth, our name from the earth, and with that, and what wilt thou do unto thy name, great name? So he's saying, oh Lord, this is going to cause you shame. All the enemy is going to start coming and pounding us now. So look what God says. The first thing he says, and the Lord said unto Joshua, get thee up. Wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face? Why are you mourning, Joshua? And look at the answer he gives them. Here's what's going on. Israel hath sinned. They have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them, where they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. Now there it is. Who's this talking now? No, this is God. This is God speaking. Yeah, talking about Achan. But look who's been giving them the details. It's God, the Lord speaking this unto him. So shouldn't that be a warning to us? Hey, God tells you not to do something, guess what? Best not do it, because he's watching. Right? He's testing. He's trying. And he expects obedience in those trials. So this evil of Achan's transgression is leavening is the whole lump. The whole of Israel is affected now. Achan, the 2 spies, Joshua, the 36 men, the 3,000 men. And now here Joshua has to go to face the Lord. It's what he should have done to start with, and get answers. And it gets cleared up real quick, doesn't it? Israel had what? Sinned. See that? Israel hath sinned. So we see a contrast here. Jericho fell, and every single person in front of every single person of Israel was involved in that process. They got to see the glory of the Lord in tearing down these walls and seeing that complete and utter victory. But the opposite holds true here. Only 3,000 went, and they saw the utmost loss. They saw nothing but cowardice and loss of life. So here we see, look at chapter 8, verse 1. See what God tells them to do next. And the Lord said unto Joshua, fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Take all the people. See it that? Take all the people of what? With thee, and arise, go up to Ai. See, I have given into thy hand the king of Ai, and his people, and his city, and his land. So now things are back to normal, right? In chapter 8, verse 1. But there's going to have to be some purging, some cleansing, removing of the stain of the sin of Achan, the sin of the spies, the sin of Joshua, the sin of the 3,000. There's going to have to be some cleaning up of the problem. So God shows them the problem, and he says, cast lots, and he shows them through the casting of the lots, and we'll go through this next time, but through the casting of lots, he revealed The lot came down to Achan. Achan was confronted, and he confessed. He said, "Yep, I took of the silver and the gold and a Babylonish garment, and it's there in my tent now, under my tent in my stuff." And sure enough, Joshua sends men to go get it, and what did they find? They found that accursed thing. So they bring it back, and Joshua takes action like he should have and deals with the issue. Once that sin has been dealt with and purged and sins confessed, chapter 8:1, we see God begins to open the door again to help them to be successful. So we need to remember that in life we have to overcome the enemy, and we have to be careful about the enemy. We have to remember that the man of Christian must overcome the devil, the world, and the flesh before he can enjoy the heavenly heritage. And there's a type and a crossover from Israel going in and conquering their enemies, and here the Christian conquering his enemies. We have to be careful when we fight, because remember, when Jesus got done with the devil, remember, what did the devil do? What does the Bible say there in Matthew? Right, he left him for a season. He didn't leave him alone for a long time, did he? He came right back at him in a different way. So the idea here is that when we go through those same trials and tribulations, when God gives us a responsibility to do and we have success, watch out. The devil will be lurking around the corner, puffing everybody up with pride, say, "Oh, look how good you are, look what you've done. Boy, nobody compares to you," and then God will have to bust your bubble. So this warfare against the several nations is a figure of the believer's conflict with our spiritual foes. Our great lesson: our foes can be subdued by none but the Lord, our spiritual enemies, and that He will fight for us as long as we are in complete obedience and subjection to Him, and maintain our entire dependence upon Him, not ourselves. See, that's what happened. Joshua didn't know it, but he went as a natural man and chose to do what those spies said. Rather than to go to God and listen to what God said, he just wanted to go ahead and take care of business as a natural man. That's what he wanted to do. As a leader, that's what he wanted to do, and I understand. We all would be tempted like that. But Joshua had already been instructed what he was supposed to do. If he had a question, if they were going to go out to the enemy, they were to consult God with the high priest, and God would give an answer. So you see, the dependence upon God is primary and of utmost importance to us, to depend upon God for our answers, not ourselves. So I'll give you two more verses. Look at Deuteronomy 11. Deuteronomy 11. The last of the 5 books of Moses. Deuteronomy 11, and go down to verse 22. Yeah? 22. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all His ways, and to cleave unto Him, then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. See that? Well, what's it depend on? Diligence. Right. Keeping all the commandments of the Lord. Not picking and choosing, but all of them. So there is a diligence that is necessary. And then Jeremiah has also a verse that we need to look at. Jeremiah 22. Jeremiah 22 and 21. Here's God giving Jeremiah another message. 22 verse 21. Jeremiah 22:21. I spake unto thee when? When things are going good, right? And thy prosperity. But thou saidst, I will not hear. You see what happens when prosperity comes around? I will not hear. What's wrong with this picture? This hath been thy manner from thy youth, that thou obeyest not my voice. You see, Israel was guilty of this a lot. They wouldn't listen. Now, if Joshua had listened and said, wait a minute, what's wrong with this picture? Gone to the Lord to start with, the problem would have been revealed right there. The same problem was revealed at the end of this chapter 7. So we see that there is a dependence upon God, and we must maintain that dependence, our entire dependence upon God and not our own. And that's a big tendency in today's society of Christians, is they want to do it their way. It's all their way. Doesn't have God involved in it. And what's going to happen? It's going to fall. It's going to fail. It's going to cost. It's going to cost. Achan's sin had a snowball effect. And it had a cost of lives. And it's going to end up, and we'll see when we get to it, when Achan loses his life because of this sin. And not only him, but his family, his servants, his livestock, every possession he had. They all get stoned and then what? Burned. And then they pile stones on top of them. So if you could dig down into that century and find that place, you'd still find a big heap of rocks where they stoned them and heaped those rocks upon them after they burned them. So it cost people their lives. Sin is a dangerous thing. It causes different effects upon different people in different ways. But you can be assured it's dangerous. It causes difficulties all around. So let's warn ourselves and remind ourselves in the days to come to beware. When things start going good, watch out. Pride goeth before fall or destruction. Amen. We'll stop there. Let's all stand.